Hi, my name is Dr. Nikhil Verma. I'm a physiatrist in the Columbus, Ohio area. I wanted to start this project for quite some time now. I decided there's no better way to start than just to dive right in. Um, I wanted to make some educational content for everyone out there, whether you be a patient, uh, medical student, a resident, a fellow, an early career physician, but also all the other healthcare workers in the industry, and just about anyone that might find this information valuable. I kind of want to talk about some things that happen in the background that some of you guys might not know about. Essentially, some stuff that I didn't learn that in med school, and I'm learning it now in the real world as I'm growing my practice, as I'm trying to understand different aspects of the healthcare industry. Hopefully, you find some value in this, and hopefully that um, this will be a start to a growing project. And I hope you will share this video with some friends, some family members, um, and we can engage some more dialogue back and forth. And maybe I can start taking some questions in the future and answer those to the best of my ability. If not, it's a great opportunity for me to go learn something new, which I'm always passionate about doing. I guess the big thing that I want to start with now, I've had a few questions about this, and I've actually had a lot of conversations the past few weeks about how a physician actually gets paid by an insurance company. To break it down, uh, for anyone that is leaving their training program after they've graduated and they're going on into practice medicine as an attending, what happens is all the insurance companies out there require you to credential with them. What this means is they essentially take all your information and they compile it together to one, say, to prove that you are who you say you are, that you've done your training, that you went to this med school, that you did this residency training, et cetera, et cetera. But also to make sure that you don't have any legal issues in your past, to make sure that you are capable of and competent in the field of training that you've submitted for. This is part of the reason why someone that trains in the surgery field wouldn't necessarily go into internal medicine. The insurance company would probably deny that contract. And that's what they are. They're contracts that the physicians or other healthcare providers sign with the insurance companies, or as we call them, payers. What's tedious about this task is essentially all this information is the same. We've uploaded it to dozens and dozens of services that allow us to upload it. But for whatever reason, every insurance company wants their own data set from this initial application package. It's just like applying for college or medical school or residency. You have to put in all this data multiple times, hundreds of times um, throughout our lives. And it's the same information: where you live, what's your age, where'd you go to school, and some more personal things and sometimes more specific things, but it's a tedious task. So, as an independent physician, you would go out and contact all the insurance companies that you want to get in contract with, and you would send them a message, and eventually they'll respond to you and send you a application. You fill out the application, and then within 3 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes 9 months, who really knows how fast they can get them out. I'm sure they're busy with all types of other things. But once you get the contracts out, you review it and you sign it. You send it back to them. They countersign it, and now you are on contract with that payer. What that means is now that you're in network with this payer is they will essentially allow patients to see you in their network, and for whatever fee that you might have set up, they will pay an X amount, a discounted price essentially, because you're in network. Um, That, in a nutshell, is how the first step goes to get credentialed and to get licensed with a payer. Now, these hospital systems and other big programs, and sometimes not even private practice, they hire credentialing specialists that take care of this in the background for you, so you don't even have to worry about it. That's why a lot of you might not even be aware that this would happen. Um, I personally did a lot by myself. I've had significant help from my father, who had some time on his hands to help out with this, with credentialing, with the payers. As an individual practitioner, sometimes you run into issues and you have to go clean those issues up in the back end. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. What's interesting is these payers can deny your contract for just about any reason. They can also accept your contract. But at the end of it all, they are in the favor of the contract they sign. It benefits them way more than it benefits the practitioner. Um, what's funny is there are payers out there that will not even contract for individual practitioners. They require you to be part of a bigger group, a hospital center, or another practice that's already credentialed with them. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think that's right, because it should be X amount of, no matter what, whether you work for a hospital system or not. Um, there's probably some reason why that I can't see yet for why that happens, but it was just something that's interesting that I've been seeing going on in the past few weeks. Actually, today, I got off the phone with a payer, and that was their exact answer to me, that they cannot send me a contract because they don't have any open contracts for individual providers. And their panel will meet in the end of January to discuss further options. With that being said, I pretty much understand that I'm not going to be able to sign the contract with that particular payer. So we're going to continue on a little bit and talk about how the our provider will get paid. So the second portion, after you get all these contracts set up, is you set up a charge master fee schedule as a provider. Now, Medicare, based on their laws and local determinations of value, has set up a fee schedule for their pricing, and that's publicly available on the Medicare website. So you can go type in any code. Just give you an example of a 99204, which is a new patient at a level 4 visit. And it can be a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or examples of visits. So whatever contracted fee they have set up for that is a base that Medicare uses as a payment for a physician. The fee schedule that's developed typically is developed at a much higher rate than what Medicare is. 3, 4 times, 5 times. I've heard as crazy as 10 or 20 times. I'm not really sure how people get away with that, but the long story short is not a lot of people get paid that 3, 4, 5, 20 times, whatever. What ends up happening is the insurance company will take that contract that has already been signed, and somewhere deep in that contract, they have a fee schedule that's set up. So they actually are the ones determining how much they will pay you as a physician or provider. Now, these typically are better than what the Medicare rate is. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. I've heard of 4. I don't know if I've ever seen that, but that's just an example. Now, these contracts are renegotiated. The first contract you get is typically, it is what it is. You don't have much room for negotiation. But down the road, sometimes you do have opportunity for renegotiate these contracts, especially when it's time to resign. And this is the time that sometimes you'll hear physicians were in network with the provider, and then all of a sudden they're not in network anymore. Other examples would be where at one time a provider was offering a certain procedure or seeing a certain type of patient, and they weren't getting reimbursements, or the reimbursements were not appropriate, or the insurance company kept denying it, so that provider's like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm just not going to take that insurance anymore. Which I think is within the right of the physician to determine that. If I'm spending my time, which I value at a certain amount of time, dollar value per patient, per hour, etc., I should be compensated appropriately. I don't think it should be grossly high, but I also don't think it should be, if I'm seeing a patient and spending an hour with them, I shouldn't only get paid $25, which is significantly lower than what the Medicare price is. So there's just some things to think about, some intricacies that happen, again, in the background that you might not know of. As a general consumer of health, the healthcare industry, or just something that you might have not learned in your medical training. So we'll go back to this example of the 99204. I see my patient, I do my documentation, I do everything that I feel is appropriate. I think, oh, you know what, I think you need to get an MRI of the lumbar spine, the physical therapy has been helping you, you failed other conservative measures. I type up my note, and now in the background, a billing company or a billing service that you've hired, or a billing person, or sometimes the physician themselves will go ahead and type up the note, type in the appropriate code, and then we'll send it to the insurance company for a claim. Now, what happens is the insurance company will take a look at that, and they're going to try to find reasons to, one, deny the claim. Maybe I coded it wrong. Maybe it wasn't an appropriate patient. Maybe I didn't link the primary care physician referral to that visit. There's tons of reasons why they won't pay that claim. And sometimes it'll just come back saying that your fee schedule is way too high. We never agreed on this. This is what we're going to pay you. And they pay you significantly less than what your fee schedule is. Rarely, if ever, is it lower than Medicare's fee schedule, but sometimes it is. So after that's all said and done, you'll get either a check in the mail, or now with electronic medical record systems and a lot of electronic banking, these claims will drop straight into a bank account. As physicians, we need to track these. And it's important to, stay on track, making sure that you're billing appropriately first and not overbilling or underbilling, which both you can get in trouble for, but also making sure that your numbers match what your expected income is. There are situations where insurance companies will come back and audit your charts and take a look at things and say, hey, you didn't do this appropriately, we're going to take money back. It adds a lot of stress to a physician or provider's day-to-day routine, or how they interact with patients. Obviously, no one that I know is out there making false claims, because one, it's illegal. Two, why would you do that? Especially if you knew that people were going to come and potentially take money from you in the future. But it's something that does happen, and I've heard of tens of thousands of dollars been retracted from physicians before, and they're writing massive checks to make up for these. Another kicker is every insurance company has their own little tweaks to something. So, for example, if I want to do a back procedure, like a pain block of a certain sort, each provider or each payer has a different criteria that they want to be met, whether it be 4 weeks versus 6 weeks of physical therapy, they failed 1 or 2 different classes of medication, they failed conservative measures of rest and other things. A certain amount of time is sometimes an indicator. Pain scales, which have been demonized and maybe appropriately so in the past. I like to use more functional scales. That's a conversation for another day. But these are some valuable things that the insurance companies look for and they highlight. And if I submit that claim, if I want to get a prior authorization for this procedure to be done, I have to make sure I hit all these benchmarks. Now, that prior authorization, 1, doesn't mean that I'm going to get paid for that procedure. 2, doesn't necessarily mean that I did everything appropriately. So they can still come back and take money. And the reason is it's usually not physicians. Um, Sometimes it's not even healthcare providers that are reviewing these prior authorizations. It's literally someone that's learning just to find those check mark points, and that's it. And yeah, say yes or no, prior authorization approved. Um, so, anyways, that's some information. Um, I hope you guys found this useful. I'm gonna try to do a few more of these going forward. I don't know what capacity. I don't know if it's gonna have a linear um, correlation to it. But hopefully, over time, we can start discussing more things that are going on in the healthcare industry. Um, I can start answering some questions. I had some questions from residents and students, and even young attendings to understand how billing process works, interview tips, what to do on years, a gap year. So if you guys do find this and you find it useful, please drop me some comments. Leave me some questions. I will try to get to them next time around. Okay? Have a good day. Take care.